Welcome back to Top 5. Harold Shipman. Harold Shipman, a British general practitioner, was convicted of murdering 15 of his patients. However, it is suspected that the true number of victims might be as high as 250. Shipman would administer lethal doses of painkillers to those who trusted him the most, and his extensive knowledge of medicine allowed him to escape detection for years. Unlike Dahmer, who closely followed his victims, Shipman betrayed the trust of the elderly, preying on their vulnerability with an air of professionalism. 9. Pedro Alonso Lopez. Known as the Monster of the Andes, Pedro Alonso Lopez is responsible for the murder of over 300 young girls in Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. He often lured his victims with promises of gifts or jobs. His motivations were not just for personal gratification but also rooted in a twisted rationale that he was ridding the world of what he deemed undesirable. Lopez was captured in 1980 but released after a short stint in a hospital, highlighting the failings of the system that even Dahmer couldn't have imagined escaping. 8. Andrei Chikatilo. This Soviet serial killer murdered at least 52 women and children between the late 1970s and the late 1990s. Chikatilo's brutal methods included mutilation and cannibalism. He targeted the weakest members of society, those on the fringes, using his persona as a harmless man to lure them. Unlike Dahmer's more intimate approach, Chikatilo embodied a gruesome randomness, making it all the more terrifying. 7. Suumo Miyazaki. The otaku killer of Japan, Miyazaki lured young girls to his home and committed heinous acts of violence against them, later mutilating their bodies. His depraved acts were fueled by a mix of severe psychological issues and a grotesque obsession with horror and cinema, which pushed the limits of human depravity. His detachment and the grotesque respect he had for his twisted fantasies place him notably above Dahmer's gruesome, though more personal, acts. 6. Charles Edmund Cullen. As a nurse, Cullen confessed to killing over 300 patients over 16 years. He would administer lethal doses of medication, often in hospitals where he was trusted. Much like Shipman, Cullen's calm demeanor in a caring role made his actions even more insidious, as he wielded the power of life and death over those who were already vulnerable. His motivations were rooted in a desire for control and the thrill of secrecy, making him even more chilling than Dahmer, who meticulously selected and outlined his own horrific plans. 5. Richard Ramirez. The Night Stalker, Ramirez terrorized Southern California in the mid-1980s, committing at least 13 murders, along with multiple sexual assaults and home invasions. He was a figure shrouded in satanic rituals, showcasing a level of sadism and terror that was both random and personal, creating havoc over a vast area. His attacks were marked by symbols and an ideology of evil that tarnished an entire community, accentuating an element of fear that surpassed Dahmer's targeted killings. 4. Javaid Iqbal. In one of the most horrifying cases from Pakistan, Iqbal confessed to the rape and murder of over 100 boys. He recorded the torture and killings on video, expressing a profound lack of humanity. His actions delighted in the suffering of his victims, and his eventual escape from justice, he was found dead in his prison cell under suspicious circumstances, left a chilling legacy that outstrips Dahmer's story of an unraveling mind. 3. Gary Ridgeway. Known as the Green River Killer, Ridgeway confessed to killing 71 women, though he is believed to have murdered as many as 90. He preyed on sex workers and vulnerable women in Washington state, showcasing a level of systematic planning and detachment that is far more disturbing than Dahmer's crimes. Ridgeway's unassuming nature allowed him to blend into society, and even after he was captured, he demonstrated no real remorse, merely recounting his acts as if they were a list of events, cold and calculating. 2. Elizabeth Bathery. Dubbed the Blood Countess, Elizabeth Bathery was a Hungarian noblewoman who is believed to have tortured and killed hundreds of young girls in the late 16th and early 17th centuries. Far removed from the world of men, Bathery's heinous acts were steeped in her obsession with beauty and the desire to retain her youth. The legend says she sought to bathe in the blood of virgins, suggesting an unimaginable cruelty that echoes through centuries, a far cry from Dahmer's tangible though horrific acts. 1. The Bender family. This terrifying family operated a lodging house in 19th-century Kansas, where they offered guests a warm welcome before murdering them for their possessions. Known as America's first serial killer family, they are estimated to have killed up to 12 victims but potentially many more. The Benders created a community of trust before betraying that very trust in the most heinous way. The sheer brutality and collaboration in their crimes make them far more sinister than Dahmer. Their legacy is one of fear, deception, and the darkest aspects of humanity wrapped in the guise of familial loyalty.